Hi, and welcome to part 2 in this video workshop series on building reporting extensions for Oracle EBS with CS Report for non-developers. So in this session, we're going to build a screen-based report and add some conditional formatting to it. So let's get started right away. Let's open up the CS Report Builder IDE. Let's give our new report a name. We'll call this WK1 for workshop series number 1. This is the second or part 2. Give it a title. We'll say workshop 1 and then 02 since it's part 2. And this particular report is going to be showing us information based on AP invoices. Now, I'm just going to paste in some SQL that I created earlier. Nothing too elaborate. Simply looks at the AP invoices all table, does a few joins to get some additional information. Let's save, compile, and then test our solution. So here we go, a very simplistic, quite straightforward screen-based report showing us various pieces of information from the invoices table. Now we are going to finesse this particular solution as we work through the different sessions by removing some fields that we don't need and changing the labels and changing the size. But for now, we're going to leave it as is. All we want to do now is add some conditional formatting. Now we're going to add a few different elements of conditional formatting just to draw the user's attention to certain things in certain scenarios. And the first piece of conditional formatting that we're going to add is related to the amount paid versus the invoice amount. So basically what I want to do is highlight when the amount paid is the same as the invoice amount, highlight it differently if it's less than, highlight it differently again if it's more than. So all we need to do is close this down, go into the items window, go down to the item that we want to apply the conditional formatting to. In this case, it's the amount paid. Go to the conditional formatting tab. Now I'm going to have 3 different conditional formats applied. The first one is going to be when the amount paid is less than the invoice amount. And what we want to do is highlight this in, let's say, red. So let's go with white text with a red background. The second one is the amount paid is greater than the invoice amount. And in this particular case, let's choose a format of, let's go with black text with a yellow background. And finally, if amount paid is equal to the invoice amount, then in this case, we'll display it black text with a green background. So 3 simple conditions. Let's just test that. Save, compile, test, run a query. So we can see now in my amount paid field that if it's the same as the invoice amount, then it's green. If it's less than, it's red. And if we scroll through, we should have some, hopefully. There we go. We've got one where it's actually more, and we've highlighted it in yellow. So that's the first conditional formatting we're going to apply. The second one that we're going to apply is related to the payment status. So we've got 2 fields for payment status. We've got a payment status flag and a payment status kind of descriptive field. Essentially, when it's fully paid, we want to highlight it in green, but where it's not paid, we're going to highlight it in red. Same kind of thing, go into the items window, go down to the field that you actually want to highlight, and in this case, it's the payment status. We're going to have 2 of these. So the condition is if the payment status flag is equal to Y, in other words, if it's paid, then we want to display it black text with a green background. And then the second one, payment status flag is equal to N, or in other words, if it's not paid, then we're going to display it, we'll go white text with a red background. Let's just test that. Save, close, compile, test, run query. Let me scroll along. Okay, so we've got some fields here that are fully paid. We can see that they've been highlighted in green, and where it's not paid, it's highlighted in red. I'm going to do one other, and we've got a field here on the end, or rather second to the end, purchase order numbers. What this does, this lists any PO numbers that are associated with this particular invoice. We've also got a PO count, where the purchase order count is 0, then it displays unmatched in here. So when it's an invoice exists that's not matched to a purchase order, we want to highlight this as a special case. So basically the condition is when the PO count is 0, then highlight this in red. We didn't necessarily need to use the PO count, we could just search for unmatched, but it's easier in this case just to go with the unmatched, or rather the PO count of 0. So same sort of thing, go into the items window, scroll down to the particular field that you actually want to highlight, and in this case it's purchase order numbers. We're going to have one condition in this case, and we're going to be saying, okay, if the PO count is equal to 0, let's display this white text with a red background. Save, compile, test, run a query, and then if we scroll along to the end, we can see that if we've got any that are unmatched, it's highlighted it in red. And there we go, conditional formatting, very simple, very fast, straightforward. Hopefully you can join me in part 3 where we're going to be looking at some of the different screen-based window styles available to us in CS Report. Thank you.